All right, let's go ahead and get this started. So welcome everybody to our webinar today, um, covering our latest launch and kind of partnership with Paperform. This integration is now live. Really excited to kind of come and present and give you guys an overview of who Paperform is, what their product does, how it works, and how you guys can leverage this within the websites you're building or for your own websites. Dean, you want to jump to the next slide?
Sure.
Just a quick introduction. My name is Russ Jeffrey. I'm the Director of Strategic Integrations. I've been here at Duda for quite a while. I see some familiar names out there in the audience. And I'm joined today by Dean McPherson. He's CTO and founder at Paperform. Dean, you want to give yourself a quick introduction and say hello?
Sure. Hi everybody. I'm Dean. I'm one of the founders of Paperform. I look after the product mainly. So I've been working very closely with Russ, getting this in an app live for you all. And great to be here.
Cool. Let's jump into our agenda for the day. So today, guys, what we're going to cover is just a little bit of an introduction to Paperform. We're going to cover some of the primary features and benefits. What you'll see is a lot of what we're highlighting is kind of a comparative to what Duda has. You know, the Duda contact form has, you know, it's a good contact form, but there are limitations in what you can do with it. And so Paperform really is a several steps above, and you'll see us focus on a lot of what those features are and highlight those features primarily as part of this webinar. And so we'll cover what those features are, and then Dean will jump in, and the primary content, what you'll watch is a demo of the platform and of the integration, covering that. And then we'll have time at the end for Q&A. So if you have questions along the way, feel free to ask those in the questions box. We'll answer them at the end. If they're relevant at the time, I'll jump in and ask Dean a question or ask him to dig in on something a little bit further. A little bit of housekeeping for today. We are recording this webinar, and we will send out the recording after. So if you want to send it to some colleagues or you have to leave early, that is great. You will get a copy of this and be able to watch it after the fact as well. So please ask those questions along the way, and we'll definitely have some time at the end for Q&A. So with that being said, Dean, I'm going to hand it off to you and allow you to kind of take it away here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Russ. So, excuse me. So, who are we at Paperform? So we're an online form builder. So Paperform's a web platform that enables anyone to create beautiful online forms, payment, product pages, lots of different kinds of form types, quickly and intuitively without any technical knowledge. Our mission as a business is really to democratize technology. We're all about trying to give everyday business owners the tools that they need to solve their own problems without having to hire a developer to build it for them. So we're all about providing those tools. Paperform as a product really sits within that pocket. We've been around since December 2016. We're actually a husband and wife founding team. So I run Paperform with my wife, Dione. We have around 11 employees currently, and we're based in Sydney, Australia. So if you're trying to place my accent, that's what it is. Our team's pretty globally distributed, though. We've got people from Europe to a few in the States, a couple in New Zealand, even actually 2 in Barbados currently. But our primary business location is in Sydney, Australia. We're at about 6,000 customers globally, and that's a very quick rundown about who we are as a company. Let's get talking about the product. So common use cases. So we're quite a versatile form creation tool. So we get used by lots of different industries and lots of different business sizes. Our common use cases, this is a bit of a word cloud based on our templates. And you can see that there's quite a lot of different use cases available here. So from payment forms, so that's a big focus of Paperform, is the fact that you can connect payment gateways. We'll show you a little bit about that in the demo, but very quickly. You can obviously take payments, but also do basic stock management, add subscriptions if the payment service provider is supported for that, and do all kinds of cool things around that. And there's a couple of industries in here as well. You can see from photography to church, even medical bookings, lots of different kinds of industries in there. We have, I think, just over 300 templates currently that are available for everybody to use. That comes along with Paperform. They're great for inspiration in both design and also form type. So form functionality, which is, I'm sure, why many of you are here, is to see how Paperform differs to, say, Duda's contact form. So Paperform is quite a versatile product. Some of the big features that differentiate from a lot of other form builders on the market and Duda's contact form is, as I was just saying, so collecting payments. I should not scroll. So collecting payments, so you can take one-time payments or recurring payments, sell products, even use calculations, which is down the bottom here as the last feature. You could use calculations to dynamically generate quotes based on answers to other questions. All of these things get used by lots of different industries, from standard services, like say you're a builder and you want to estimate how long a piece of work's going to take and charge based off that time, then you could do that with calculations. Bookings and appointments. So we have an appointments field, which allows you to do to connect a calendar to your form, and then take an appointment that will both sync to that calendar, but also works both ways. So after a booking has been made on that calendar, then it won't be allowed to be booked again in that time slot. So we watch that calendar for bookings. You can actually connect multiple calendars. So if you're doing meetings, for example, when we were hiring recently, we used a Paperform to book meetings for a few of us who were interviewing a single candidate, and it allowed us to connect all of our calendars into the availability, so that we could show the times where everybody who was going to be interviewing was available at the same time, and then make a booking on one of our calendars. Conditional logic. So we have built-in logic throughout the whole product that can be used based on the answers of based on how people are answering the form. So that can be from really simple use cases like choose a contact method. So say you had a drop down that said, how would you like to be contacted? Email, phone number. And if they chose email, then you show an email field. If they chose phone number, you show a phone number field. But that can be as advanced as you would like it to be. And as I was saying, that conditional logic flows not just to questions, but to throughout the whole product. So you can show and hide entire groups of content on a form. So our forms are a little bit different to other forms on the market in that the forms don't have to be just questions and answers. You can add pictures and videos, rich text, whatever you would like. So conditional logic could be used to show all of that or hide all of that. It's not just questions and answers. You can also use conditional logic for everything that happens after the form is submitted. So if you only want to send an email sometimes when the form is submitted, or you only want to integrate with HubSpot sometimes, then you could do that. The final feature we'll talk about here is calculations, which is one of our more advanced features. It gives you the ability to write Excel-like functions to work on the answers as people are entering them live. So that can give you live quotes. That also opens up a whole bunch of additional features. So let's jump through. So then after the form is submitted, Paperform isn't just about the live form that people interact with itself, but it's also about getting your submission information to where it needs to be. So we have around 25 direct integrations currently that are completely free to use for lots of popular services, from Slack, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, Google Sheets. But we also offer integration platforms such as Zapier and Integromat. So if you're using a service which we don't support, then it's quite easy to connect those services in so that when your forms are submitted, you can get that data to whatever system it needs to be in. As I was just saying, logic can also apply to emails and submission success pages and integrations. So that means that you can only you can meet your business needs as they come up. And finally, reporting. So you can obviously view your form submissions and download the results, but we also have built-in analytics to show how your form's performing, where people are dropping off on your form, as well as basic reports based off of how people are answering your form as well. Alrighty, let's jump in and get into the live demo. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong button. Is that still showing my screen, Russ? Can you see that?
No, it is not. You got to represent, I think.
Represent show.
There you go.
Is that better? Great.
Yep. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, you're switching to Duda right now. Yeah.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you. So here we are in Duda. So this is just a new site I was quickly creating today. So it's just based off of an event registration template. So Paperform will exist inside of widgets. I've actually already installed it on this demo site, so it's available here. You can see it's Paperform under the basics section. But if you're on a new site and you haven't installed Paperform yet, then it will be under the App Store. So we'll click App Store. As you can see, I've already installed it. There would be an install button otherwise, or an add to site, something along those lines. We'll run through plans at the end. This is currently installed with the highest plan, which is our Pro plan. So I'm just going to click Open, and that's going to load Paperform right here inside of the App Store. So I've started building a form here, but I'll create a new one for you. So this is the Paperform dashboard. This is where you'll see the forms that are associated with this website and where you can create new forms. This is also where you'll go to see submission results. So you can see up here, we've got a bunch of templates available. There's something like 30 just there. But if I click create form here and use the template, then we have a whole bunch of other templates we can look at here. So you can see, I'll just click a couple of these and we can have a look. So this is an appointment request form template, potluck invitation form template. You can see our marketing team have been thinking really hard about what kind of form templates people would be looking for. We have everything down to, we have some very funny niches. Christmas hamper order form template. That must be a new one for Christmas. This is actually a use case we've seen in the past few weeks as people creating Christmas hamper online ordering forms. So this is being used to actually choose and purchase hampers and actually collect information on who you're going to send it to. But for the moment, I'm going to show you how to create a form. So I'm just going to click create a blank form here. So you could just start from a template if you want to. So if you chose any of those templates, you can just jump straight in and just edit a template that already exists to create the form that you would like. But for the sake of this, I'll show you how we can create a form from scratch. So this is the Paperform editor. This is a blank form that's just started. You can see here that there's some text on the page saying type here or choose an option to get started. So Paperform's a little bit different to a lot of other website or form builders out there in that we don't use drag and drop as a primary interface for creation. Creating a form on Paperform is much more like writing a doc. So I can just type, this is my title, and there's some text on the page. And if I highlight that text, we get a menu that pops up here. So I might change that into a heading and center it. And then I can say, this is some more text. And that's just like editing rich text. So you can use hotkeys. So I just used Command B on my Mac here to make that bold, or Command-I to make it italic. That's all fine. And then this is some text as well. I might just realign that to the left. So then to the left of the line here, we have some options of kinds of content we can insert. So questions is obviously the really important one. So that's adding questions, adding breaks. So this is used if we want to break our form up onto multiple pages. So if you've got a big form, then that comes in really handy. Adding pictures. So that's going to add pictures inline into the page, and adding video, which will allow you, if I click that, you can just paste in YouTube, Vimeo, or Wistia links there to embed that video within the page. Just remove that for the moment. So I'm going to add a question right now. So I've clicked add a question. So I'm going to make just a basic contact form. So I might change this to say, talk to us. And delete that extra text. We'll say, what is your name? So this is just our, what is your question? This is a new question that we've added in here. This is, what is your question? So I'm just going to ask, what is your name? We have some help text if we would like to add it there, but I don't think we really need to explain anything around asking what people's name is. And over here on the right, we have a drop down of our question types. So by default, it's a text question type, which makes sense, but we have a lot of other question types to choose from here. They kind of get more complex the further you scroll down this list. So we have our really obvious ones: text, email, URL, yes, no, color picker, number, phone number, address, country, appointment. So appointment, that's the one I was talking about for connecting your calendar and taking bookings. Date, time, scale, multiple choice, drop down, image and file upload, signature, price, product. So products is one we'll spend a little bit of time on in a minute. Subscriptions, calculation, and hidden. So for this form, I'm just going to ask, what is your name? What is your email address? What would you like to say to us? So for the email address, I'm going to change that to be an email question. For what would you like to say to us? I'm going to leave that as a text question, but I'm going to make it just a couple extra lines higher so that it looks like people can enter in a bit of text and not just a single line. All right, so that's a really basic form automatically created. So we have, as you can see up in the top bar here, 4 sections: design, configure, after submission, and add to site. So design is the tab we're currently on. It's where you'll build the form itself. And configure contains everything that's around configuring the form's behavior that's outside of the form design. So if you want to connect a payment account, set up analytics. So if you want to set up Google Analytics or Facebook Pixel, or bring your own scripts, then you can do that there. Or form behavior, which does things like if you want to disable the form or only enable it after a certain date and time, or disable it after a certain amount of submissions have been made. Or if you want to customize that closed submission page, then you can do that there. After submission. So after submission does exactly what it sounds. It contains everything that happens after the form is submitted. So that's emails, success pages, and redirects. So if you'd like the page to redirect after the form is submitted, or you'd like to customize what content people are seeing after the form is submitted, success pages and redirects is where you would be. Custom PDFs. So we actually support the ability to generate your own custom PDF when the form is submitted based on the answers of the person who submitted the form. And you can attach that to emails. You can use that in integrations and webhooks. And that final section there is integrations and webhooks. So if I click in there, you'll see we have these are our direct integrations which we support, but then Zapier also brings many more. I'll leave that for the moment. Emails is a really important feature for a form builder, as you can imagine. So when you create a new form, you'll automatically get sent an email summary of submission results to the account email address. You can turn that off if you like. That just simply toggles on or off. But by default, you will receive that summary. Otherwise, if you'd like to send an email, you can set up a custom email here. So if I click add email, then this is going to load email composer. So you say you might want to send a confirmation email to the person who's submitting the form. So we've asked for an email on the form already. So I can actually just click this plus button here and choose the email question, which is what is your email address? And that puts in what we call an answer pipe for that email address there. So you could actually put in multiple people in the to address. You could even just type some in as well. So I could do to dean@paperform.co as well if I wanted to email myself. And then we can say, we got your submission as the subject line. You can also set obviously CC, BCC, the from address. So this is a feature we support for very specific use cases where you might want to set the address that the email is coming from. That obviously can really impact deliverability. So we actually recommend not using it unless you have a really specific need for it. Instead, we can send the from name. So this might be from Bill, and the replies to address might be bill@me.com. So what will happen then is when they receive this email, it'll say it's from Bill. It'll come from our default sending address, but if they hit reply, it'll automatically go to bill@me.com as opposed to back to our no reply address. Then you can compose the body of the email itself here as just a custom message. You can choose to tack on a submission summary onto the end of that message or a receipt if there's a payment involved. So we can say, hi, what is your name? So that's just added an answer piping value for whatever they put in as their name. Thanks for reaching out. We'll get back to you in the next 2 days. Thanks, Bill. Attaching custom PDFs. So if I created a custom PDF, I could attach it here, and logic. So we'll go through logic in questions in a second, which works in exactly the same way. But if we wanted to set up logic so that this email only sent sometimes, say when they have indicated that they want to be contacted by email only, then we could do that. Final step is just clicking add email. All right, so that's done. That email is created. Anytime that this form is submitted, that email will be sent. So the final step here is actually getting this form live on the site. So this final section here is add to site. So here we've got our form ID. So we can copy that just by clicking this copy button. And what happens is we just need to copy and paste this form ID into the widget in the site editor to identify which form we want to load there. So if I go back to widgets, I might scroll down and find a spot. There's a little blank spot under register here, so that'll do. And I'll go to Paperform and drag in the Paperform widget. All right. So you can see here we've got our form ID. So that form ID, which I just copied, then I'm going to paste in here. And that's going to load our form inline right there. The Paperform widget actually supports 2 different kinds of embeds. So we have an inline embed, which is what we're currently looking at, but we can also choose to make it a pop-up button. So that's going to be automatically in the Duda theme of the website as a button. You can change the text there if you would like. At the moment, I'll just leave it as inline. And we could preview that and fill it out if you want to. So my name's Dean. I'm Dean at paperform.co. I really like your forms. And click submit. And that's gone ahead and submitted there. So on our custom success pages, you could change all of this copy as well, or remove that box and go back to the editor. All right, so that's a really quick walkthrough of how you could create a form and embed it on the site. I might just run you through some of our more advanced functions. Actually, before I do that, I'll show you that submission result. So that would have sent me an email in that email that I set up as well. But if we just want to look at the submission result, we can go to our dashboard. So I've just gone back to the App Store, back into the Paperform app, and we're back on our dashboard here. And this is our form, which has one submission. Now, if I click into that, that's going to have loaded our submission there. So that shows just in a list style by default, but we can click view to view a single result of that and export that out to PDF or Word, or we can export all the submission results to CSV just by clicking that export button there. On the submissions page here that we're currently on, there's some other features available. So analytics will show you how many views, how many viewers, how many times the submission's been started, how many times it's been submitted, if there's any sales associated, and our report tab. So reports require questions that have a fixed amount of answers to work. So things like multiple choice or drop downs work really well with reports. Free text is not so useful. Partial submissions is a feature on our Pro plan. So what partial submissions is that if somebody comes and starts filling out your form and then doesn't get around to submitting it, then we actually keep that partially submitted form, which you can go in and access for 30 days. So that's really useful for chasing up leads or finding if you've got a customer that thinks they've submitted the form and they haven't, then you can go in and see what they've entered there and help them with that. So I'm going to jump back into the form editor now. We might run through some of our more advanced features. So we might go to our appointment question first. So appointments is by default, you can use all of these questions without actually connecting them to an external services. The appointment field is really designed to work in sync with Google Calendar. So pick a time to talk to us. And I'm going to go to configure over here to the right of the question. So that loads our question configuration here. So inside of our question configuration, we have a bunch of options here. So type of question, whether the question is required or not, question visibility logic, which I'll show you very quickly now. So question visibility logic, if I turn that on, then we can just use this built-in logic builder to define when this question will be visible. So this will be a bit nonsense because you probably wouldn't want this kind of logic set up. But we could say you only want this question to be available when what is your name is Dean, or maybe when it isn't Dean, which just means that as they're typing in their name, if they said their name was Dean, then that question would actually disappear, or if we change that to is, then it would appear. We have some other options available here for is, isn't, whether the question is answered, so if they've entered a name at all, or if they haven't answered that question, or if it contains or it doesn't contain. If this question that we were depending on here was numerical, so if it was a number question, then we would have number options here as well, so you could do greater than or less than. But what is your name is simply text, so it's not an option. For the moment, I'm not going to bother connecting a calendar because this account doesn't have any calendar set up yet, but if we wanted to, we could just click that plus button and follow the prompts. Appointments by default are in minutes, so you can say I want to book an hour's slot, but you can also just change that to be in days mode. So if you want to book out 4 days, so if you was making a form to say book accommodation, then days probably makes more sense than hours. Time format, which is pretty sensible. Event details. So this is going to outline what the event is that this appointment field is creating. So it might be a meeting with whoever the person is filling out the form, and bill. Description, so if we wanted to enter in the description, then we could do that. By default, it's just a 30-minute meeting that can be booked kind of on the hour or every 15 minutes from there. And then the final section is availability. So if we have a calendar connected to the form, to this appointment field, then its availability will also apply here. So if you've blocked out dates on your calendar or you have another meeting, those times will automatically get blocked out. But you can also just set general availability on the question as well. So by default it's 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. in whatever time zone the form is set to be in. So that's fine for the moment. You can also just manually go in and block out dates in these appointment fields yourselves and control how far in the future or how far in, or how soon people can book the appointment. So that's the appointment field in general there. If I jump back into design here, scroll down, we'll be able to have a quick look at what that looks like on the form. So, oh, what did I leave the logic as? Was it Dean? Yes, so there you go. And when Dean answers the form, he can pick a time to talk, and nobody else can apparently. So pick a time to talk to us, and here's our appointment field. So say I want to book next Wednesday at 11:15 or 11:45. So that's locked in that time slot. When I click submit, what will happen is if I had a connected calendar, it would actually create an event on that Google Calendar, and we could set that up to also send an invite to the person who's submitting the form or to whoever we want. But that's appointments in a nutshell. So then we'll move on. I'll jump back in to the app. Okay, so another big feature which we'll talk about is products. So pick a time to talk to us probably doesn't make sense for products. It might be choose your order as the question title. So exactly the same as configuring appointment fields, we're just going to click into the question configuration, and we have our standard settings here. This logic's actually still applying, but I might just turn that off for the moment. We can set whether we want this product question to be able to buy more than one product at a time. So we could set it so it works essentially like a radio button. So you can just pick a single product and have a price associated with that. But if I toggle that on, then we can set up quantities as well. So this is a little example of what the product would look like at the moment. So it's just a $10 blank product. We can automatically choose more than one of those if we want to. And I'll leave that toggle on for the moment. So that default answer. Products. So go under products here. We can import and export these to CSV if you've got products defined elsewhere, or if you've got a lot of products to work, then that kind of gets nicer to work with than manually adding products in. But here's a new product. So say we're selling t-shirts, so we might say t-shirt black. We automatically generate a SKU, but you can add your own as well if you want. This is used to identify the product within Paperform itself. So for stock management, set the price. So we might say it's a $15 t-shirt stock. So by default, we just allow unlimited stock. So if you don't touch this, it will simply be unlimited. But if you want to restrict the amount that can be sold, then we can set that to say 30, which means that I can't order more than 30 ever. As they get sold, that'll automatically get allocated so that we can't oversell that stock. You can also set minimums and maximums per submission. So if you only want people to be able to buy 2 t-shirts at a time, then we could set that there. Adding images. So I don't think I've got any images ready. I have some random unsplash image, which isn't quite a black t-shirt, but it'll give you an idea of how the images work. We can have multiple images in there and reorder them if we like, but I'll just use a single image for the moment. Finally, under the appearance tab, so we have a couple of different layouts you can use for our product field. First one works really well, and you've got a lot of products, which is just this list style. That's just a little image thumbnail. If you clicked on that, it would give you, it will show you the full image. But the other 2 types of layouts are a bit more visual. So we have card, which gives you a slightly more compressed, but card-based version. So if we had more than one product here, so if I went and I'll just duplicate that and call it blue. So we've got two products here. You can see they're just going side by side. The final layout here is gallery. Oh, that's on mobile. Is gallery, which is just a slightly larger version. The text is a bit more compressed and you get a lot more of the image. So this one's quite popular. And that's product fields. So that's essentially set up to manage those products and sell those products. If we actually wanted to take payments, then we can go to configure payments. If we've got a payment gateway associated with our account, then we could choose that there. Otherwise, we can go to manage all payment accounts and we can connect one. We currently support Stripe, Braintree, PayPal Business, and Square. Stripe and Braintree you can use to take subscriptions as well, and Square you can actually use to connect to the point of sales Square app, which is pretty fun. Stripe also supports some alternative payment methods other than just credit card, which are more country specific, which I can't show you here. For the moment, I'm just going to leave no account, so it's not actually going to take a payment. The form still functions in exactly the same way, except you just don't get to see the checkout. And if I go back to the pages here, and we load the form. All right, so here we are with our form. This is the product field which we just configured. We can see here as I'm choosing products, that submit button, the price there that's showing is automatically calculating. You don't need to do anything to calculate that price. That's handled automatically. And that's the product question.
Dean, do you have any limits on the number of products you can add?
No, we have no hard limits on the number of products.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously, because it's all listed in the UI and there's no visual logic as to hiding and showing specific products, you want to be careful that you're not going to overwhelm the person submitting the form and show them, 3,000 products at once. But we get a lot of people using conditional logic with multiple product fields, so you could always just duplicate that and have two product fields and show different lists of products depending on how the form is being answered. So that's a good way of handling huge amounts of products as well.
Yeah, right. Like if you're doing gift baskets, you might have gift baskets for females that'd be different than males, right? And have different products that you're selling that are in that gift basket directly and available. Yeah. Right. Got it.
Yeah. The only gotcha is that products need to be unique per product field, so unique per form. Right. You can't have the same product appear multiple times in the same form.
Yeah, you could just set up the product twice though, right? And manage it, after the order. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't like share a product between two fields. Yeah.
So the final question type I'll run you through here is just our calculations. So calculations let you do Excel style function calls on answers as they're being submitted live. So I'll make this visible so you can actually see it at the end. Here's where we'll actually enter our calculation. There's built-in documentation here of everything that we support. There's a lot of stuff in here. We have some customers who do some very crazy things with calculations. So we can do obviously really basic maths. So I won't do 1 times, it's probably a bit too boring. But I'll do 2 times. We'll use the name field, but it's not really going to work because it's because it's text. But you can do 2 times 3 with our live preview. We can also do text-based stuff here. So there's a number of, if you scroll down here, there's a number of text-based functions. So for example, upper. Sorry, were you saying something, Russ?
Yeah, I was gonna say like an example would be like maybe on your form you only want to have 1 name field for the full name. Could you split that into 2 names, right? Like first and last type of thing?
Yep, so we have a split function here. So it would be something like split, and then we'd want to get the first one, I think. It's been a while since I've written a calculation. Something along those lines would do the trick. So then we can go, so we might say that's the first name. So one way that calculations get used is by default they're actually hidden. So you could have that first name in there being automatically calculated and hidden. And then we could just say, hey, first name. So that's using answer piping to just automatically put that value into the text. Thanks for that. So we could use that exact same answer piping within emails, custom PDFs, success pages, other question titles if we wanted to.
Right.
So if you had another page and you want to say, thanks for that first name, also, what's your date of birth? Then you could do that. And I'll show you what that's like live. See if I got my calculation right first go. So first name, there's no value coming through there at the moment. But if I do Dean, it's going to say Dean. If I could do McPherson, oh no, it's still saying Dean. Oh, I know what I did. I didn't put a separator in, did I?
Probably not.
Orbit. So edit.
And we have a similar question just coming in now from Bob.
Yep.
He's asking, can you adjust prices based on the date? So like if it's before the end of the year, you have one price, and if it's after January or after December 31st, it's a different price. Is that?
So what you would do if you wanted to do something along those lines is you'd use a calculation. So you wouldn't be able to do it in the product field itself.
Right.
But under configure payments, we have down the bottom here custom pricing rules, which allows you to apply kind of your own rules that will affect the total overall price of the form. So if you wanted to say, I'm running a 50% off sale until the 50th of January, until the something of January, then you could do that. The other option would actually be to use coupons, which you could just give out to automatically discount by a certain amount, and you can have them expire at a certain date.
Sure.
So that would be a way of handling that.
Actually, coupons were one of the questions which were on the backlog. So that's an answer for Phil, asking about coupons. Yeah.
Yeah. So coupons quickly there. So they by default you can just have your code. So it might be like 10 off, and that discounts by 10%, and that can just simply be enabled. If I have a Stripe subscription on the form, you can actually change that coupon type to be a Stripe coupon, which will then can be applied to subscriptions as well. So if you wanted to have some kind of Stripe coupon applied to that subscription, you can. Discounts can apply just a cash amount off or a percentage amount off, or both. They're pretty straightforward to set up. There's obviously a bunch more functionality here to learn. Our help center here is really useful. We spend a lot of time making sure that this is as useful as we can make it, and our support crew. So if you click this button here, our support crew are available just about all the time, and we try and make sure that they know exactly what they're talking about, and they spend a lot of time knowing our product inside and out, so that they can help you with any of your needs. So that calculation should be fixed now as well. Preview. Let's see whether I got it right this time. Dean, yay!
There we go.
McPherson.
Nice.
There's that coupon. So 10 off. Apply coupon. There you go. I got a $6 discount on my 4 t-shirts.
That's great.
Yeah. Was there anything else that you wanted to see, Russ? I'm conscious that I've talked for 40 minutes straight.
Yeah, let's jump into some questions, because I think this will be nice to kind of dovetail in.
Yep.
Demont is asking, can you monetize the appointment form? So can you charge a payment to be able to submit an appointment?
Yeah, so you could certainly do that. You could simply have a product or even, so if you just want to charge a simple price on the form, you can just use that price field. So that just sets a flat rate fee on the field. If you've got a connected payment gateway, that'll automatically get charged.
Right.
So yeah, there's no limit to the number of these fields you can have on the same form as well. So you could have 4 price fields, a product field, 6 appointments on the same form, and that would be fine.
Yeah, you can also do
you can show and hide those with logic as well, right?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. You could say like, cool, I have a 30-minute appointment and that's $100. An hour appointment is $250.
Yeah, so if you want to do different price points, so there's a couple of different ways of doing that. They get a little bit more complex, but essentially, so under event details here, this is currently set to not be chosen by the submitter, and it's a 30-minute meeting. But you could actually say, I just want the submitter to choose a time between, a minimum of 60 minutes and a maximum of 2 hours, and then you can actually write a calculation to determine what that costs, and then you could use that calculation result with a custom pricing rule to set the price on the form. So you could actually, if you want to go full on, you can connect it all so that you could have that single appointment field. Which one did I use just then? This one. Yeah, so that first one. So I'll just delete these other appointment field quickly so you can have a look at it. Preview. So here's our appointment field. So you can see here, instead of just picking a time slot, we just pick a start time and we get to choose an end time too.
Nice.
So that's from our 30 minutes up to 2 hours. We have in answer piping. Let's jump in here. So in answer piping, which one was it? So that's that. I'll say that's our appointment. There's actually a bunch. So what I've done is hit tab there. There's actually a bunch of extra things in there. So we have our length. So you can just pull out how long the appointment is in terms of minutes or hours or days. And you can use these in calculations. So you'll do something like, so that's just .minute length. So if we wanted to write the calculation for what that costs, then we could do something like calculation. So whenever the minute length, we might divide it by 60 to get it in hours instead. And we might say our hourly rate is $150. So that's going to calculate based off the minute length of the appointment, how much. So it's going to return 75 as the answer to this calculation. So we might call this hidden price because that calculation field won't be visible. And then under form behavior, under configure payments, in our custom pricing rule, I can simply say when the hidden price is answered, then we actually want the total price to equal the answer of that field, which is simply saying whatever the answer is to that calculation, use it. And if I jump back into the preview here, I can give that a quick spin. There it is. All right, so we've got 4 price fields already. All right, so that's calculated the price based off of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. You did a 45-minute appointment, $150 an hour. So that's, yeah, 112. That's exactly right. So that's great.
Yeah. Cool. You can see because I did equals price on that custom pricing rule, it's actually overridden the automatic price calculation for these price fields as well. So we could actually
Right.
change that if we wanted to just add that price to the total. It doesn't have to
one big
override.
checkout. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Was there any other questions?
Yeah, let's there's a few more here.
Yep.
The next question here is from Danny. He's asking, are email submissions from forms, do they come from a no reply address, or can we have it come from the email address that is submitted on a form?
Yeah, so you can have it, you can set the from address. So what I was covering here is if you want it to come from the person who's submitted the form, you can set that. The main thing is that it can really impact deliverability because that email address will be sent on behalf of that email address, essentially without any authorization. It's far more likely to get picked up as spam or just not even make it to the inbox, depending on how the sender's email address is set up. So we recommend not doing that. Our default email address is noreply@paperform.co. That's where email addresses will come from. But you can set the from name and the reply to address instead, which functionally in the inbox, like the name generally displays, the reply to address won't display, but if they hit reply, that's what will go into the to field of that reply. So that generally gets around most use cases. The use cases where from address is still kind of handy is if you have to integrate with, say, like a help desk center that has to send, that only recognizes emails from the from address field. But even then, we still don't really recommend it because, say, the email address has DMARC set up, which is an email security feature to essentially prevent people sending emails on behalf of you, then the email simply won't send. So you might lose emails there, which nobody wants.
Yeah, and for help desks and other systems, it's probably better to use some type of integration. Zapier,
Yep.
Use one of your native integrations, use those type of things out of the box. Use a webhook.
Absolutely.
To get that done. Yeah.
Yeah. Although, like Intercom, the help desk center we use it actually recognizes the reply to address, so it just does that automatically. So I imagine that many would just would recognize that reply to address if you did have to use it.
Yeah. Great. I'm gonna jump on to the next question here. This one's from Gabrielle. It says, I'm a white label Duda customer and would like to use Paperform as the payment form as part of the publish flow for our customers. Is it possible to collect hidden fields and pass these through? And how would we set up an API call for successful payment submissions within Paperform? So I'll take a first stab at answering this, Dean, and let you jump in. So one is you absolutely could use Paperform, as the submission to say, great, I am starting a new order and we want to collect payment for that, and I want to send that data somewhere into my order processing or my queue to be developed or designed. Dean didn't get a chance to cover it here, but there's plenty of places that you can send and submit this data to. So you can send it through Zapier or send a webhook or submit this. You can see Dean showing it now. There's plenty of native integrations that Paperform has out of the box of where you could send this. So you'd want to send that data somewhere. And then if you wanted to connect that to Duda and say, okay, great, let's go and create a Duda website through the Duda API, that's some custom code that you'd have to write to say, great, we connected, we got an email from this customer and they purchased. Let's go and take that email from the form and submit that to an API call. You'd have to write a little bit of a custom setup there to do that extra step to connect it back into Duda directly. It would be cool to have that out of the box. We don't have that type of capability right now, though. So hopefully, Gabrielle, that answers your question for you, because the collection can happen, but the connection to Duda is not going to reflow back into the website process. Yeah.
I think there would need to be, it sounds like something you'd need to write a custom API call for essentially, which would probably be the simplest way would be to set up a webhook that we would post the form submission through. So webhooks just allow you to define your own endpoint. Every time the form's submitted, that submission result gets sent to that endpoint, and then it would be up to using the Duda API to do everything you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Great. Let's jump on to the next one here. I'm gonna go a little rapid fire since we're getting a little late on time here. So Jake is asking, can we access the submitted data within Duda? And so the short answer is, forms submitted into Paperform, they won't feed into Duda's contact form and our storage of that, but you can just open the Paperform UI and view the submissions there rather than viewing the Duda form submission. So just slightly different locations, but as you can see, it's all accessible from the Duda editor. It's not like you need to go log into different systems. It's all right there. Great. This is a question for you, Dean, here. Are there any other calendars that this works with besides Google Calendar, like Office 365 or iCal?
Yeah, no, currently it's just Google Calendar.
Okay.
It's something we're considering for the future, though.
Got it. Jake is asking, can one Paperform account be connected to multiple Duda websites?
No. So, sorry, you go.
Yeah, the short answer is no. So when you set up Paperform on a Duda website, it's connected to that individual website, and you can create as many forms as you want for that website, but you can't use them on other properties. So it's just one website that's there. This is how we're able to get a little bit of a lower rate from the Paperform guys and not their standard pricing that's out there. Yeah. Susan is asking, how does the file upload work? Is there a size limit?
So there's plan level size limits, which are in the plan listings, which we'll go through in a second. But yeah, they're quite generous. In terms of files, they're per file size limits as well. There's not an overall storage limit. What we have is a time limit for how long we'll keep those files around. So on the Essentials plan, I think it's 6 months, and on the Pro plan, it's 18 months, which we'll keep the file in storage for.
Got it. Great. Bob is asking, what about form security? Can you be HIPAA compliant?
No, we're not HIPAA compliant at this time. We are secure. We have some documentation around that, which is available on the site. If you search our help center for Is Paperform secure, you can see our stuff there. But we are not currently HIPAA compliant. Again, it's something we're considering for the future. But as a relatively small team, it puts an undue burden on us to maintain that kind of compliance at this stage.
Right. Great. The next question from Narwa is, can forms have separators to provide sections in a form? So I think you covered this a little bit earlier.
Yep. So you can paginate your forms if that's kind of what you're referring to. So I've just added one group of questions here, but we can add multiple if we want, or we can even just actually split these into multiple if we'd like to. So if you wanted to have them just spaces in between them, this add break here. So by adding this blue line in, that's simply a page break. So if we go and look at the form now and preview that, that's going to a little bar. That's just automatically paginated that form.
Nice.
Clicking to the next page, and you can see that was just where I'd split the questions. Yeah, we didn't actually run through theming at all, which we can talk about if we have time. For reference, there's a file upload question there.
Yeah. Great. Well, one more question, and we'll jump on to pricing, Dean, and wrap up here. Yep. Can you do multiple columns in a form, as well as control the widths?
So we don't support controlling the widths. What we do support is essentially just putting questions side by side. So under question configuration, you've got make questions one of two columns. But then I should preface that by saying So you can see they've just gone side by side.
Yep.
We don't support going any smaller than that, mostly because the UI tends to break down, and on mobile that would automatically fall back to single column.
Right.
What I was going to say though is, so on the Pro plan, we also support actually just bringing your own custom CSS. So if you did want to take over and force the widths to be whatever you would like, then you could do that. I think also actually on the widget, Russ, you can resize these to restrict. Yeah, so you can control the width to a degree that way.
Yeah, that's correct. Yes, yeah.
Can't let go. There we go.
And that'll set the width
so
of that device.
Yeah. So that'll be a good way of controlling the width from the widget itself.
You can also, within Duda, you could also put it within its own column, and that'll size it down appropriately as well. Yeah. Great, Dean. You want to jump over to pricing, and then we'll wrap this up.
Let's do it. All right. Can we see that now?
Yep. Yeah, this looks great. Yep.
Great. So pricing. So we're offering two plans here: Essentials, which is $7 a month. There's also a 14-day free trial version of that plan available in Duda. Our Essentials plan is very generous. It has most of the functionality that we ran through today. There's a few extra things which are only on the Pro plan, which is fully outlined on the listing within the Duda App Store. So, yep, and then obviously a lot of the limits are lifted on Pro as well. So if you've got a really high volume site or form, Pro is probably the way to go, or if you need specific access to features that are only available on Pro. Features that are only available on Pro, so connecting more than one calendar on appointment fields. So if you just want one calendar, then that's fine on Essentials. If you need more than one, then you'll need Pro. Other than that, the calculations are a Pro-only feature, and answer piping within the form is a Pro-only feature as well, along with custom PDFs. There are a few others in there as well, but they're the big ones. And yeah, actually, like Ross was saying,
the pricing on Pro is wrong here. It's $13, it's not $14.
Yeah, it's $13. I just saw that myself.
That's my fault. Yeah.
That's $13 a month, already discounted from $14 a month. Like Russ was saying, this is, if you compare that to the pricing we offer on paperform.co, it is significantly less. And the big offering there is because this is to be used per site or per property on Duda. Right. So we wanted to make that as easy for you all to use as possible and not prohibitively expensive. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, we've already covered a bunch of Q&A. We're actually over time by a few minutes here. So let me end by just saying, Dean, thank you so much for joining and giving this overview and educating some of our customers. Really appreciate you coming in and doing this.
No worries at all, Russ. Thanks for having me. It was great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the rest of the Duda customers out there, this is our last webinar of the year. So we here at Duda, we really hope you have a wonderful holiday season, happy Christmas, a good new year as well. We'll definitely be back in the new year with some additional webinars coming your direction. So just keep an eye out either on your email or in the product for some of those announcements. Those will be coming. So hope everyone is happy and safe and has a good holiday season here.